Good day, everyone, and welcome to Cricket South Africa's Level 3 umpiring course brought to you by Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. Today is lecture number 5, and my name is Tom Mokorosi. As usual, my batting partner for today's lecture is Abdullah Steenkamp. The format of today's lecture will be as follows. I will kick off with laws 28, 33, 34, 37, and 38. Abdullah will take us through laws 39 and 41, as well as some exam tips, which we will use on Thursday for our revision questions. All along while we present, there will be some quiz questions asked. So please get involved, type your answers into the chat box, and I will go through the answers of all of the quiz questions just before our question and answer session. That'll be after Abdullah has presented his laws. So let's get into the laws for this evening. Law 28 is the fielder. How is a fielder allowed to field the ball, and what is he or she not allowed to use to field the ball? Law tells us that a fielder may field the ball with any part of his or her person. However, he or she will be deemed to have fielded the ball illegally if, while the ball is in play, the following occurs. If the fielder uses anything other than part of his or her person to field the ball, that will be deemed illegal fielding. If he or she extends his or her clothing and uses it to field the ball, imagine I took a catch using my t-shirt stretched out as so, that is deemed illegal fielding. If a fielder discards a piece of clothing, equipment, or any other object which subsequently makes contact with the ball. And this will be the subject of our first quiz question this evening. So let's read that law out again. If the fielder discards a piece of clothing, that means willfully takes it off. Clothing, equipment, or any other object which subsequently makes contact with the ball, that will be deemed illegal fielding. The operative word there being discards. Very importantly, it is not illegal fielding if the ball in play makes contact with a piece of clothing, equipment, or any other object which has accidentally fallen from the fielder's person. So that's very important to note the difference between point number 3 and the last sentence on this slide. Discarding meaning willful and accidental meaning unintentional. So here's an example of a fielder using his cap that is not worn. He is using a piece of clothing or equipment that is not properly being used. Therefore, this will constitute illegal fielding. So what happens if a fielder is guilty of illegal fielding? Firstly, the ball shall immediately become dead. Now, because not all players know this law, it is good umpiring practice if you see an incident involving illegal fielding, then either umpire shall call and signal dead ball to make the players aware that the ball is dead, and then you would explain to them the illegal fielding that has taken place. Very importantly, the penalty for a no ball or a wide shall stand if applicable. And you will see this sentence or this phrase coming up often in the law. And for the purposes of answering exam questions, Abdullah will take us through this at the end of the lecture. It's one mark that will always be there for you to take in any scenario that involves unfair play. Okay, the penalty for a no ball or wide shall stand if applicable. 3 marks. What else will also count? Any runs completed by the batters shall be credited to the batting side, together with the run in progress, if the batters had crossed at the instant of the illegal fielding. The ball shall not count as a legal delivery in the over and needs to be rebowled. And the umpire shall signal 5 penalty runs to the batting side. Okay, so illegal fielding is punished by awarding 5 penalty runs to the batting side. We need to inform everybody and we need to report the matter at the end of the day's play. So this brings us to our first quiz question for the evening. Question 28.1. Is this 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side, or is this play on? I'm going to play the video and you need to type the answer to the question in the chat box after the video is done.
Better. Maybe he's the man for the finals. Up in the air, he's not got all of it. Mid-off tries to get round, it plugs a little bit, and whoa. If that hits his cap, is that 5? Kieswetter's looking at the square leg umpire. Michael Atherton says he slept with the rule book once. That flicks his cap, is that 5?
Don't know whether it did. One man would know, I suppose.
So it's not deliberate. Fine. It's over. Yeah. No. Not deliberate. Yeah.
Not deliberate. That's what Rob Bailey has just said. So there's the answer. It's not deliberate. It's not 5. Did it hit the cap? Oh, it did. It did.
Not deliberate, the answer.
So a couple of sharp spectators pointing at the fielder that the ball hit the cap. Is this 5 penalty runs to be awarded to the batting side, or do we play on? Please type your answer into the chat box now. 28.1, 5 penalty runs, or 28.1, play on.
Better.
Now let's talk about protective helmets belonging to the fielding side. Where are they to be placed? Law tells us that protective helmets, when not in use by fielders, should be placed on the ground behind the wicketkeeper and in line with both sets of stumps to reduce the likelihood of the ball hitting that helmet. But of course, it does happen that the ball can hit the protective helmet belonging to the fielding side placed on the ground behind the stumps. So what happens if a protective helmet belonging to the fielding side is on the ground and while the ball in play strikes it? The ball immediately becomes dead. Again, most players do know this law, but not all players on the field will see the ball hitting the helmet behind the wicketkeeper placed on the ground. So good umpiring practice. The first umpire to see that ball hit the helmet placed behind the wicketkeeper on the ground, call and signal dead ball for everybody to be aware that the ball hit the helmet. We need to award 5 penalty runs to the batting side. Why? Because that helmet was placed deliberately behind the wicketkeeper by the fielding side. It did not end up there accidentally. Any runs completed by the batters before the ball strikes the protective helmet shall be scored, together with the run in progress, if the batters had already crossed at the instant the ball hit the helmet behind the wicketkeeper. So again, fielders need to be wary of where that helmet is. And if possible, a lot of teams, especially in T20 cricket nowadays, they have their substitute fielder running on to collect the helmet from the wicketkeeper if the wicketkeeper is going to stand back for the next over, and they take it off the field. And then at the end of the next over, when now a spin bowler is back in the attack, they take the helmet back onto the field for the wicketkeeper to wear it. That happens quite often in T20 cricket, but in Test match cricket, we still see the helmets behind the wicketkeeper, which are not in use. This brings us to our next quiz question 28.2. How many runs are scored or awarded to New Zealand in this incident? I'll play it through once again with volume, and then I'll play it again without volume and talk you through it.
I think that's hit the helmet. I think this will be automatic 5, will it? Just check. I think it is 5.
That's the last thing you want. There you go, hitting right on the top of the lid.
Yep. Do we have to stop for a concussion protocol?
I'll play it again without volume and I'll talk you through it. Bowler bowls the ball outside leg stump. Kane Williamson shapes to pad up. The ball misses Kane Williamson's pad. It goes past the wicketkeeper and hits the helmet that is placed behind the stumps, behind the wicketkeeper on the ground. And you can see the batters start running, and the ball eventually makes it to the boundary after the batters have crossed, but they haven't yet completed their run. So, question to all of you, how many runs in total are awarded to New Zealand here? Please type into the chat box your answer. Question 28.2. Just give us a number. How many runs are awarded to New Zealand in this scenario? We will go through all the quiz questions at the end of the presentation after Abdullah has presented his laws. Next law that we're going through, and remember that these are going to be helpful for preparation for the Cricket South Africa Level 3 exam. We are not going through every law, and we're not going through every section of every law. What are we covering in Law 33? Let's first have a look at an animation video that talks us through fair catch.
Fair catch. A catch shall be considered fair if the ball is held in a fielder's hand, hugged to the body of the catcher, or accidentally lodges in his or her clothing, helmet, or protective equipment. But of course, this being cricket, it isn't always that simple. If a fielder deliberately uses an item of clothing to try to catch the ball, it is not out, and 5 penalty runs are awarded to the batting side. However, the ball can be caught after it has deflected off the other batsman, an umpire, another fielder, including off a helmet being worn, or even if it lodges in a fielder's helmet. Perhaps the main criterion for a catch to be considered fair is that the ball must not touch the ground before being caught. Here, for example, the ball does not touch the ground even though the hand holding it does so in effecting the catch. This is a fair catch. And then there is the question of catches near the boundary. This is such an interesting subject that we've given it a film all of its own. To catch up on everything to do with catching, simply refer to Law 33 in the Blue Book.
Right, so what are we going to go through in the Law 33? We are going to give you a quiz question to answer, and then we will touch on a particular point in the law. Quiz question 33.1, is this out court or is this not out? Take into consideration what you've just learned in the animation video.
Oh dear! Catch taken! What about that?
It's a good catch on the boundary. Big moment in the game to Pavlon. I'll tell you what, Bon, that ball is on the ground, on his way up.
Have you managed to ensure that in the completion of the catch, you keep the ball off the ground and you have it fully under control? Yeah, and that's about whether your hands are upturned or turned downwards. And I'll take you back, all of you who'd be watching a whole lot of cricket, and remember Mitchell Stark in the Ashes.
So please type into the chat box 33.1 out court or 33.1 not out. How many runs are scored when a batter is out court? Law tells us that if the striker is dismissed court, runs from that delivery completed by the batters before the completion of the catch shall not be scored, but any runs for penalties awarded to either side shall stand. So if the striker hits the ball so high up that the two batters are able to complete 2 runs before the catch is completed, how many runs are scored? Absolutely 0 runs are scored off that legal delivery. Okay, so if a striker is out court, no runs completed will be credited to the batting side. And we know that since October 2022, the incoming batter will be on strike if we are still in the same over. The batters, even if they have crossed, the runs will not count, and the batter who is not out will need to return to his or her original end. If the criteria of 33.1 are met and the striker is not out bowled, then he is out caught, even though a decision against either batter for another mode of dismissal would be justified. I'm going to play a video from a training session that I conducted a couple of years ago at Langa Cricket Club to explain the law of court to take precedent over all other dismissals except for bowled. Let's watch the training video.
Okay. Do none of you play cricket? Okay, so bowler bowls a ball, and it is hit very nicely, hit the ball. Okay, I'm the bowler, okay, and I try to catch the ball, so the ball's in the air, and I actually tip the ball with the edge of my fingers. I need a non-striker, please. Non-striker is a very good non-striker, and you are starting to run because The ball has been hit, so you start running. Now the ball hits my finger and then hits the stumps, still in the air, it hasn't bounced. Okay, and then it goes off the stumps and it is caught. Brilliant driving catch at mid-off. Now, we have a batter who is out of his or her crease and is technically run out. But we also have a catch. Who's going to be out? Is it going to be the striker out caught or the non-striker out run out? Who says the non-striker out run out? Put your hand up. You don't need to tell me. Who says the non-striker is out run out? The non-striker is out of her crease. Okay? And who says the striker is out caught? Put your hand up. We have a lot of umpires here who are not making decisions. I need a decision from you. Okay. Do you want me to repeat the scenario or the question? Okay. So, my question to you is, who is out? Is it the non-striker who's out run out? Or is it the striker who is out caught? Striker. Striker. I like that. I like that. Why? Even though the run out happened first, law tells us that court to take precedence over all other dismissals except for bowled. Okay? Because bowled is the big boss. Court is the next big boss. Okay? Everything else comes after those. Okay? So even though the non-striker was run out before the catch was taken, law tells us that if there are two dismissals in one delivery, and court is one of those dismissals, and bowled is not the other one, then court will take precedence over all the other dismissals.
Okay, so very important in a scenario like this is for both umpires just to wait for the scenario to play out, because if the bowlers and umpire gave the non-striker run out immediately, then we cannot undo that dismissal. We would have to give the non-striker run out, but the correct procedure would be to wait until the scenario has played itself out, and then we can give the striker out caught. Because why? Court to take precedence over all other modes of dismissal except for bowled.
Okay.
Law 35, hit wicket. When is a striker out hit wicket? Law tells us that the striker is out hit wicket if after the bowler has entered his or her delivery stride and while the ball is in play, the striker's wicket is put down by either the striker's bat or person in any of the following circumstances. In the course of any action taken by him or her in preparing to receive or in receiving a delivery. And this is quite a subjective law. You as an umpire need to decide when has the striker finished preparing or receiving a delivery. Did they put the wicket down with bat or person while preparing to receive or while receiving a delivery, or did they put the wicket down after they have received the delivery? Okay, that's usually the contentious part of an out hit wicket decision, and we will have a quiz question for you to decide based on this particular law. The striker is out hit wicket if they put their wicket down using the bat or person in setting off for the first run, but it has to be immediately after playing the ball or playing at the ball. Okay, so the first opportunity that you have to run as a striker, if you take that opportunity and you set off immediately and you slip and you put your wicket down in slipping, then you will be out hit wicket. But if the bat hits the ball and the striker says, wait, 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 because it's going straight to a fielder, and only when the ball ricochets off the fielder from a misfield, and then a couple of seconds later, the striker says, yes, and then they run, and then they slip, and then they hit their stumps, that will not be out hit wicket. Why? Because they did not set off immediately after playing at the ball. If no attempt is made to play the ball, then in setting off for the first run, provided that in the opinion of the umpire, it is immediately after the striker has had the opportunity of playing at the ball. If a striker lawfully makes a second attempt or a further stroke for the purpose of guarding his or her wicket, and in doing so puts his or her wicket down, then they will be out hit wicket. Very importantly, there is a window period for hit wicket. The window period starts when the bowler is in his or her delivery stride and ends after the shot is played and after the striker has had the chance of running immediately after the shot is played. Okay. So what happens if the striker puts his or her wicket down before the bowler has entered the delivery stride? Has the window period opened when a hit wicket can take place? No, it has not yet opened. The window period for a hit wicket dismissal to take place opens when the bowler enters his or her delivery stride. That is when the back foot lands in the bowler's bowling action. Okay, so what law tells us is if the striker puts his or her wicket down before the bowler has entered the delivery stride, either umpire shall call and signal dead ball. Okay, so that will not be out hit wicket. That delivery will have to be rebowled if the bowler does deliver it. In what other circumstances are a striker hit wicket not out? If the striker puts down his or her wicket after having completed any action in receiving the delivery. Okay, so we all know what a follow through is in a batter's shot. If the striker has completed his or her follow through and then inadvertently puts his or her wicket down, that will be not out hit wicket. If the striker puts his or her wicket down when the striker is in the act of running, but it is not when setting off immediately for the first run, then they will be not out hit wicket. If the striker puts his or her wicket down when trying to avoid being run out or stumped, quite often batter will double step, miss the ball, and to try and prevent him or her being run out, they dive back into their crease. They could put their wicket down with their bat or person in running back to the crease. Law tells us that they are not out hit wicket in such a scenario. If the striker puts his or her wicket down when trying to avoid a throw at any time, they will be not out hit wicket. If the bowler, after entering the delivery stride, does not deliver the ball and the striker still puts his or her wicket down, the striker will be not out, hit wicket. So the ball needs to be bowled for a striker to be out, hit wicket. If the delivery is a no ball, the striker puts his or her wicket down when attempting to play at the delivery, they are safe. There are only 3 ways that a striker can be out of a no ball, and hit wicket is not one of them. So if a delivery is a no ball, the striker cannot be out, hit wicket. So let's put all of that theory into practice for our next quiz question. 35.1. Is this out, hit wicket, or is this not out? Let's watch the video.
Well bowled. That's what can happen when you're set and you think the pitch is behaving very nicely. End of the over. Now what has happened here? Well, has he somehow touched the stumps? What's going on here? One of the
Brendan Taylor, I think, after he's played the shot, has knocked the bails off with his bat. Now, I didn't see what was happening. I just heard it in my ear. And Shakib Al Hassan has gone and appealed to Murray Erasmus. So discussion going on between those two men.
Let's see what has happened. He's fine. It's a legal delivery. It'll be a big blow if Brendan Taylor departs in that fashion. Nothing. What does he do? Oops, that's gone. That's gone.
So the commentator has made up his mind. Do you agree with him? Do you disagree with him? Please type your answer into the chat box. 35.1 out or 35.1 not out. We will go through the answers of all the quiz questions after Abdullah has presented his laws today. Law 37, obstructing the field. Let's watch an animation video to teach us more about this law.
Obstructing the field. A batsman is out obstructing the field if he or she willfully attempts to obstruct or distract the fielding side by word or action. Like this, for example. Thank you, Tommy. In particular, it is considered to be obstruction if, while the ball is in play and after the striker has played the ball, either batsman willfully strikes the ball with a hand not holding the bat or any other part of his or her person, or with the bat. The exception to this is when the batsman is attempting to defend his or her wicket. The batsman may do this with the bat or any part of his or her person, except with a hand not holding the bat. If the batsman uses such a hand, he or she will be out obstructing the field. The handled the ball law no longer exists, with such incidents now covered by obstructing the field instead. The obstruction has to be willful. Accidental obstruction, or obstruction caused by trying to avoid injury, does not count, and the decision on that is down to the umpire. It's worth noting that if a catch is obstructed, it is the striker who is out, even if it was the non-striker who caused the obstruction. Mind you, it's not always an easy decision. Here, the batsman deliberately crosses out of the legal running area in order to attempt to obstruct a throw. There is no other reason why the batsman should be running across the pitch. What looked an accident was, in fact, an illegal incident. To avoid any possible confusion, read Law 37 in black and white in the blue book.
Are there any runs scored when a batter is given out obstructing the field? Law tells us that when either batter is dismissed obstructing the field, unless the obstruction prevents a catch from being taken, runs completed by the batters before the offence shall be scored, together with any runs awarded for penalties to either side. If, however, the obstruction prevents a catch from being made, runs completed by the batters shall not be scored, similar to when a batter is dismissed out court. No matter how many runs they complete before the catch is taken, no runs will be scored, except, of course, any penalties awarded to either side. They will always stand. Does the bowler get credit for a obstruction dismissal? No, the bowler does not get credit for an obstruction dismissal. Quiz question 37.1. Is Matthew Wade out obstructing the field, or is he not out in this scenario? Let's have a look at the video.
Oh, there's bat into helmet. Butler. Oh, Wood. Oh. Well. Top edge on the lid. So, Junior, are you saying that the an umpire, third umpire? Oh. So the third umpire can possibly make a ruling without an appeal. Gee, that's a good question. Not looking like he's focusing totally on just getting back there, does it? I can't say I know what Matt Wade was thinking, but when that arm went out there...
I think originally he was a bit disorientated, wasn't sure where the ball was. He was playing a bit of AFL.
Please type your answer into the chat box. 37.1 out obstructing the field, or 37.1 not out. I will take you through the answers to all of the quiz questions after Abdullah has presented his laws. Last law that I'm presenting before handing over to Abdullah is law 38, the run out. When is a batter out run out? Law tells us that either batter is out run out if at any time while the ball is in play, he or she is out of his or her ground and his or her wicket is fairly put down by the action of a fielder, including contact with a helmet worn by a fielder or a wicket keeper. So prior to the law changes in 2017, if the ball hit the fielder's or wicket keeper's helmet, it would be called dead. But to encourage fielders and wicket keepers to wear helmets when in close proximity to the striker, the lawmakers decided that if the ball is hit against a wicketkeeper's helmet or a fielder's helmet, it will remain alive unless there's a serious injury to either wicketkeeper or fielder, and catches can be taken off helmets as well as runouts can be affected after the ball has ricocheted off a helmet that is worn. Very importantly, needs to be worn. A runout can occur even though a no ball has been called and whether or not a run is being attempted. When is a batter not out run out? A batter is not out run out when he or she has been within his or her ground and has subsequently left it to avoid injury when the wicket is put down. A batter is not out run out when the ball has not subsequently touched a fielder after the bowler has entered the delivery stride and before the wicket is put down. I'll give you an example to illustrate what the law is teaching us here. If a bowler bowls the ball and the striker hits the ball straight as an arrow down the pitch back to the non-striker's stumps, and the non-striker has left his or her ground in backing up and wanting to run, because no fielder, nor the bowler, nor the wicket keeper, no member of the fielding side has touched that ball before it hits the stumps at the non-striker's end, that will be not out, even though the non-striker was out of his or her crease. There needs to be an intervention by a member of the fielding side after the ball has been delivered, before the wicket is fairly put down. The batter is also not out run out if he or she is out stumped, and the batter is also not out run out if a no ball has been bowled and the striker is out of his or her ground, possibly double stepping to try and hit a shot, but is not attempting a run, and the wicket is fairly put down by the wicket keeper only, without the intervention of another fielder. So this, in theory, would be a stumping. Okay, so ball is bowled, striker is out of his or her ground, it is a no ball, the wicket keeper fairly puts down the striker's stumps without the intervention of another fielder. If it's a no ball, striker cannot be out stumped and also cannot be out run out, because they were not attempting a run and the stumps were broken by the wicket keeper. To finish off this law, we're going to look at the non-striker leaving his or her ground early. And this mode of dismissal is often referred to as a man-cad, named after the fielder or the bowler who first effected a run out at the non-striker's wicket when the non-striker left his or her ground early. Long description by the law as to how this dismissal works. It's a lot easier to follow the mode of dismissal in an animation video. This law was previously under unfair play, law 41.16, but was moved in October 2022 to be under the run out law. Let's watch the video to learn more about how and when a non-striker leaving his or her ground early can be run out.
Running out the non-striker. Running out the non-striker occurs when a bowler runs out a batsman who has strayed too early out of the popping crease by removing the bails. It is a much debated form of dismissal, with some suggesting that a warning should be given. However, leaving his or her ground early is an attempt by the non-striker to gain an unfair advantage, and it puts a batsman at risk of getting out. The law doesn't require the bowler to give a warning, and he or she is entitled to run out the non-striker until the moment when he or she would normally have been expected to release the ball, in which case it's perfectly fair for the bowler to run the non-striker out. For more detail on this perfectly legal practice, see Law 41.16 in the MCC's The Laws of Cricket.
That's the law explained to us in theory. Now let's look at two practical examples from real life matches. The first one is the correct execution of a bowler running out the non-striker. And the second video is an incorrect execution of the bowler attempting to run out the non-striker.
No. I'm not so sure. I know it's in the laws of the game.
I'm ready with my decision for the big screen.
So we would have learned from the animation video that the window period for a bowler to run out the non-striker opens when the bowler starts his or her run-up, and it closes when the bowler reaches his or her expected point of delivery in terms of the arm. So Deepti Sharma, right-hand spin bowler, she did not turn her arm over. I'm going to play it from here. You will see that she gets into her bowling action, yes, but she does not lift her right arm to the expected point of delivery. So the window period is still open, and she sees the non-striker leaving her ground and puts the wicket down fairly. So this is the correct execution of running out of the non-striker by the bowler. Let's look at an incorrect execution by Adam Zampa from the Big Bash League a few years ago.
Third umpire director, got a review for run out. We want to check whether the bowler's arm has gone past the vertical. That's satisfied the law for run out at the bowler's end.
Yep, this is critical because that's actually correct. Yep. So once the back foot is where most people
roll it through, roll it through, roll it through, roll it through, and roll it through further. Now his arm's gone past the vertical, therefore not out. Repeat. Decision for the big screen will be not out.
Tell you what, that's Sean Craig in the hot seat, and that's a very interesting decision. The right call from the umpire. Yep. Wowee.
So it's clear and evident. Adam Zampa, Australian national player. Not all players know the laws, so we need to know our laws so that we can apply them correctly in pressure situations and make the right call. Adam Zampa went past his expected point of delivery in terms of the arm, and therefore the window period at that stage closed for running out the non-striker by the bowler.
Kicking off my section, we're starting with the Stumped law. Let's first look at an animation video, and then we'll have our first quiz. Well, I will have my first quiz question.
Stumped. All batsmen fear being stumped, and all wicket-keepers dream of stumping batsmen. So let's be clear about the law. The only player who can stump a batsman is this fellow, the wicket-keeper. A stumping can take place provided that the ball is not a no ball. You can be stumped off a wide, however. Here, for example, the batsman has moved out of his or her ground to play the ball, but has missed it and has not attempted a run. The wicket is fairly put down by the wicket-keeper without the intervention of the fielder. When all these conditions are met, the batsman will find that he or she has indeed been stumped. It's also okay for the ball to rebound onto the stumps off any part of the wicket-keeper, including his or her protective equipment or helmet. If it is a no ball, the batsman will not be out-stumped and is also protected from being run out as long as he or she is not attempting a run. Don't be stumped about stumping. Get a copy of the Blue Book and study Law 39.
Okay, my first question, 39.1. So in the chat box, let's have a look at the video. You are the TV umpire. I will play the video. I'll play it with sound. But before the TV umpire makes the decision, and I will stop it because I want you to put your decision in the chat box. 39.1. Out stumped or not out? Let's have a look.
Fair, fair. There's a referral for a stumping. First up, front foot, no ball, check, please.
Stand by hop 2 and wipe to hop 2.
It's a fair delivery.
Okay. So where is
I am ready with the decision.
Okay, you the TV umpire. Please put your decision in the chat box. Out stumped or not out. Law 41 covers fair and unfair play. There are about 17 subsections under Law 41. I'm not going to cover all 17 of them. Let's look at the first one that I'm covering. What happens if there is a deliberate, a willful distraction or deception or obstruction of either of the batters after the ball was delivered? So the ball was bowled and now one of the fielders willfully or deliberately distracted, deceived or obstructed either of the batters. What is the punishment? Firstly, the law wants to emphasize, make it very clear that we need to firstly decide whether it was a deliberate or a willful attempt by any of the fielders. A bit of practical, advice. Good umpiring technique is go chat to your colleague, have a discussion, or what did you see? You can tell your colleague what you saw, and then firstly decide, was the action by the fielder deliberately or willful? And if it was, and it can be by word or action, and this willful attempt by word or action was to distract or obstruct or to deceive either of the batters after the ball was bowled. So what is the punishment? We're going through the theory now. I do have a quiz question later on that covers this, and you can decide whether you think the action by the fielder was willful or not. And if it was willful, this is the punishment. You need to call and signal dead ball. Neither batter to be dismissed from this delivery. So remember, you and your colleague, you decided that this was a willful attempt by the fielder. So neither batter to be dismissed from this delivery. 5 penalty runs will be awarded to the batting side. Ball will not count as one for the over. Runs completed before the offence happened, that will be scored. And if there were any penalties, like a no ball, that penalty will also stand. And also, so we've just said runs completed before the offence to be scored, and also the run in progress, whether batters crossed or not, will also be scored. And this is the only place in the law book where you will find that it's irrelevant whether the batters crossed or not. that run will also be counted. Everywhere else in the law book, you will see if the run that they're busy with, for it to count, batters needed to have crossed. But this, and the only place in the law book, here is irrelevant whether they crossed or not with the run that they're busy with. As long as they're busy with that run, whether they crossed or not, that run to count. And more punishment. You will now go to the batters and you will ask the two batters, who of you want to face or will face the next delivery? And again, this is also the only place in the law book that you will find where the batters at the wicket can choose who faces the next delivery. And then lastly, you need to inform everyone of this or what happened. You need to inform the fielding captain, the batters, when possible, the batting captain. And then lastly, this, according to the law, must be reported to the governing body. So you can see a very stiff punishment, deserved punishment, if there is a deliberate or willful attempt, and it can be by word or action, to distract, obstruct, or deceive either of the batters. Next subsection under law 41 that I'm covering. So what happens if there was a ball bowled and it was an unfair or a non-pitching delivery, a full toss or a beamer? What happens if a bowler bowls a beamer? Let's see how we deal with it. Firstly, law tells us any delivery, and if that delivery goes on the full, i.e. without pitching, and it passes or would have passed above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease, the law sees this as unfair. And before I get to the action that the umpire must take when seeing a delivery that passes or would have passed on the full above waist height striker standing upright at the popping crease, I see it as unfair. And before I get to the punishment, our judgment point is batter or striker standing upright at the popping crease. That is where we need to judge it. You should not be judging it, because sometimes you do find batters standing outside the crease or double stepping to and let's say then after double or triple stepping get to about 2 or 3 meters outside the crease. And then let's say the power ball then hits the batter. Now the batter is 2-3 meters outside the crease. That is not your judgment point. You need to judge it, and you need to ask yourself the question: would the ball have been above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease? And if yes, you need to call and signal no ball. The umpire that's in the best position to call this is the striker's end umpire. Either umpire can call it, but yes, the striker's end umpire, that umpire needs to own this call in 99.99% of the time. Striker's end, you own it, you make it, you have a side on view, you in the best position to make this call. So now we know we need to call and signal no ball. But again, your judgment point, and it's easy if the striker is standing at the popping crease. Now you can judge whether it's above or below waist height. It becomes difficult if the batter, especially if they double steps or triple steps, and now the ball is above waist height. But the only question you need to ask yourself, it doesn't matter where the batter is, your judgment point needs to be striker standing upright at the popping crease. So the question you ask, would that ball, or is the ball, or would it have been above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease? If yes, the law sees it unfair, and you need to call and signal no ball. If the answer to that question is no, fair, then it's a fair delivery. Okay, so now we know we need to call and signal no ball. Then the law goes further and say, we've just called a no ball for this unfair, full toss or beamer. We've just called it. Now there's also another judgment that the umpires needs to make. So the bowlers and umpire, you need to make this judgment call. You now need to decide whether you think this ball is dangerous and would have caused injury to the striker. The law guides us, the law gives us points that we need to, what we can consider in making this judgment call, whether it's dangerous or unreasonable. Doesn't matter if the striker's got a helmet, pads, a chest guard, that's irrelevant. The law tells us, take into account speed, height, direction, skill of the striker, repeated nature of such deliveries. So you need to decide, bowlers in, do you think this ball is dangerous and would of course risk or injury to the striker? And if that question, if the answer to that question is no, you'll only call the no ball because it's above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease. But if the ball was above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease, you'll call and signal no ball. But if you, bowlers in, consider and that ball was dangerous, would have caused injury to the striker, you need to do the following as well. You now need to give the bowler first and final warning. You need to inform the your other umpire, your colleague, that bowlers now, you've given the bowler first and final warning for bowling a dangerous full toss above waist height. Need to inform the captain of the fielding side that you've given the bowler a first and final warning. And you need to inform the batters what you've just did. This first and final warning that you've just given to apply throughout this innings. If it happens in the first innings of your, say, test match, it will apply throughout that first innings. If it's in the second innings, it will be throughout the second innings. You will not take this warning over into the next innings. So if it's the first innings, it will apply for the whole of the first innings, but as soon as the second innings of the side starts, you will start clean slate again. So now we know, if it happens first time in the innings, first and final warning. Then the law goes further and tell us, if we've now given the bowler first and final, if late in the innings, it can be the next ball, it can be the next over that the bowler is bowling, it can be the next day, as long as it's still that first innings. So if there's again the same bowler, after we've already been given a first and final, now bowls the ball, another ball, firstly above waist height. So now we know, above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease, you need to call and signal no ball. And then also, this now, second time, bowling above waist height. And you now bowl, you the bowlers in, consider that this ball is dangerous. Could of course injury to the striker. Now, what do you need to do? Remember, this is now the second time this is happening. So yes, we know it's above waist height, so we need to call and signal no ball. Because of it is now the second time, bowlers are already on the first and final, it is now dangerous. Now we need to call the fielding captain and say, Captain, please suspend your bowler immediately from bowling. And we'll explain to the captain. Captain, bowler was already on the first and final. This is now the second instance in this innings, above waist height, directed at the striker, would of course injury. We now need to suspend this bowler from bowling. I'll let my colleague know of what I've just did and inform the fielding captain. And this bowler will now be suspended and will not be allowed to bowl again in this innings. If it's, let's say, it happened in the first innings. If it happened mid-over, let's say this happened ball 3, so you've called no ball. You've removed the bowler now from the attack because it's now the second time. Another bowler now needs to complete this over, and this new bowler that's completing the over should not have bowled the previous over, nor is this bowler allowed to bowl the next over. And again, you need to inform the batters of what happened when practicable, captain of the batting side, and then lastly, the law wants you to report this to the governing body of cricket for that particular match. Next subsection. What happens if a bowler deliberately bowls a front foot no ball? let's just go through the theory, and we'll then go through practically how to handle it. But for the purpose of the exam, you need to write what the law tells us. So the law tells us if there is a deliberate front foot no ball bowled. So now, if you, the umpire, considers that the bowlers deliberately bowl a front foot no ball, what action do you need to take? So you first need to make this judgment call. Do you think this front foot no ball was deliberate? And if yes, this is the punishment. Yes, you'll call and signal no ball. As soon as that ball is dead, you'll call the captain of the fielding side, and you'll tell the captain of the fielding side to suspend the bowler immediately from bowling, because this bowler has now bowled a deliberate front foot no ball. You'll tell your colleague of your action that you've just took, and this bowler will now not be allowed to bowl again in this innings. If it was the first innings of the game, not allowed to bowl again in the first innings. Yes, second innings, bowler will be allowed to bowl again. If it happened mid-over, if there's a few balls left, the over needs to be completed by another bowler. And this bowler should not have bowled the previous over, nor is the bowler allowed to bowl the next over. And we need to inform the batters and, when possible, captain of the batting side. And then lastly, you must report or shall report this to the governing body of cricket for this particular match. So now, this is the punishment if a bowler deliberately bowls a front foot no ball. Just a bit of practical advice. I mean, how do you judge when a no ball is deliberate? How far must the foot be over? Half a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, half a meter, a meter. The law doesn't say. All the law tells us is if you feel the no ball front foot one was deliberate, we've just covered the action. So yeah, practical advice. Usually, excuse me. You take your bit of your cricket experience into account when deciding was it deliberate, wasn't it deliberate. In the one scenario, let's say there was a fast bowler bowling, the batter just hit the fast bowler for 3-4 sixes in a row. Now the fast bowler's angry, having lots of words with the bowler, with the striker. And this fast bowler has been bowling a few overs from your side and was always good on the front foot. Let's say the front foot was half and half. So now, after being hit for 3 sixes in a row, now the bowler is having a few words with the batter. Obviously, the batter's not backing down. Batter also have a few words. You get in between saying, guys or girls, stop, play on. And then the very next ball, suddenly, this bowler, let's say the front foot, goes way over, let's say half a meter over. So that is taking now this, this situation into account where there was a bit of words. And suddenly, this bowler was good on the front foot. Suddenly, half a meter over. You need to take clues into account, and that clues will help you to decide whether the front foot no ball was deliberate. So that's the one scenario. I mean, I had a scenario last year where it was first day of a 4-day game. It was the first change bowler. It was a 19-year-old youngster, and he and it was his second 4-day game. He was nervous. So first ball of the over that he bowled, he aborted his run-up. He lost his run-up. Second ball, aborts again, lost his run-up. Third ball, abort again, lost his run-up. So now he's feeling a bit of pressure. He's new. He's lost his run-up, struggling to get his run-up. Now the fourth ball, he hasn't bowled the ball yet. So the first 3 he aborted. The fourth one, he delivers the ball, but I promised you, he was almost a meter over. Initially, I got a fright. I mean, I haven't seen such a big no ball in my life. And then, obviously, I called and signal no ball. and then the ball is delivered. It was outside off. The batter left it, and then as he walks past me, I said to him, his name was Dian. Dian, that was you way over. I said, oh, sorry, umpire, I lost my run up again. And I didn't want to abort again. I mean, I didn't want to waste time. I don't want the captain to, have a go at me. So I thought, I've lost my run up. Let me just bowl this ball. So the point I'm trying to make is, this was an example. Yes, it was way over. But this 19-year-old, it was literally half an hour into the game, and yes, he was way over. But yes, I called the no ball, but I didn't deem this to be deliberate because I took factors into account. He lost his run up. That's just a bit of practical, guidance on how to handle this deliberate front foot no ball. Next subsection, damaging the pitch. Let's first look at an animation video, and then we're going to focus on what happens if the bowler runs in a protected area. Then what happens if the striker goes into protected area, and what happens if batters damage the pitch. But let's first look at the video.
Damaging the pitch. Deliberately damaging the pitch is illegal and can be costly to the guilty player's side. A bowler will be deemed to be causing deliberate damage if the umpire considers that his or her presence on the protected area of the pitch, shown here in red, is without reasonable cause. This can be after delivering the ball, or, if the bowler fails to release the ball, after the completion of the delivery swing and delivery stride. The first offence will receive a caution, the second a final warning, and if the bowler does it again, he or she will be suspended from bowling for the rest of the innings and may well face disciplinary action after the match. For fielders and batsmen, it is the whole pitch that they must not damage, not just the protected area. If any fielder causes deliberate damage to the pitch, he or she will face a similar caution and be reported to the captain. If there is a repeat offence by any fielder during that innings, 5 runs are awarded to the batting side. Finally, if either batsman causes deliberate damage to the pitch, the batsman will be given a first and final warning and told this practice is unfair. This warning will apply through the innings and each incoming batsman will be warned. Should this happen again, the umpire will disallow all runs from that delivery, other than the penalty for a no ball or wide. Furthermore, the umpire will award 5 penalty runs to the fielding side, return the batsmen to their original ends, inform both captains, and the offending player may well face disciplinary action after the match. If you're in any doubt, refer to Law 41 in the Blue Book. Damage.
Okay, let's first discuss the protected area, and vital. We, the umpires, important part of our job, we need to protect the protected area. And this protected area is this red shaded area. So we need to make sure that bowlers don't go in there without a reason. We also need to make sure that the striker don't go in there without a reason. And we'll see, we need to also, we'll speak about batters and where batters is allowed to run and not allowed to run. Let's first start with the bowlers. What happens if the bowler runs in the protected area? So the law sees it as unfair for the bowler to go into that red shaded area without a cause. If there is a cricketing reason, like going to field the ball, diving to stop or catch the ball, going in there to take a catch, if there is a cricketing reason, no issue. Bowlers then allowed to go into the protected area. But if the bowler goes into that protected area without reasonable cause, and it's irrelevant whether the ball is delivered or not, what do you need to do? the first time it happens, you need to give the bowler a caution. So you'll tell the bowler, this is a caution for you running into the protected area. You need to inform your colleague that you've given the bowler a caution, because many times bowlers would go bowl from the other side. So your colleague needs to be aware that you've given the bowler a caution, and this caution to apply to this bowler throughout this innings. Good umpiring technique. Also, please let the fielding captain know that you've given the bowler a caution and the batters. So this is now first time bowlers in. Caution. Now in the same innings, let's say it's the first innings, the bowler's already on a caution, and the same bowler again goes into the protected area without reasonable cause. Now you need to tell the bowler, I've given you a caution. This is now the second time you're in there, so I'm now going to give you a final warning. And this warning, this final one, to apply throughout the innings. Again, inform your colleague. You've given the bowler a final warning. Inform everyone that everyone needs to be aware that this bowler is now on the final warning for running into a protected area without reasonable cause. And now, the same bowler in the same innings, and it's irrelevant which side. It can happen the other side as well. Lots of bowlers, if you give them a caution or final warning, they'll go bowl the other side. But that's irrelevant. That's why it's important to inform your colleague, because this caution is throughout this innings, and it's irrelevant which side the bowler bowls. It's not your caution, your side. No, it's for the innings. So if the bowler switches ends, your colleague needs to be aware, or colleague is now aware that the bowler is already on the final warning. So now, a third time the bowler goes into the protected area. Now what do you need to do? You need to direct the fielding captain to suspend the bowler. And that bowler is not allowed to bowl again in this particular innings. Let's say it was the first innings of the match. And if there's still balls left in the over, ball then needs to be completed by another bowler, and this bowler should not have bowled the previous over, nor is the bowler allowed to bowl the next over. And inform everyone what you've just did. Bowler suspended, not allowed to bowl, and the law wants us to report this to the governing body. So now that's how the law wants us to handle bowler running in the protected area. What about the striker going into a protected area? Can the striker go in there? Striker not allowed to go in there? Let's have a look. So firstly, striker taking a stance. And the law wants the striker not to stand so close to the protected area that because the striker is standing so close that as soon as the striker plays a shot, the striker will go into the protected area. So if you do see the striker standing close to the protected area, just whisper in the striker's ear, you are standing close in the protected area. If you are going to go in there, and we'll see now how the law wants you to handle it. So yes, the striker can stand outside the popping crease, but not to stand so close to the protected area. So if the striker is, let's say, going to play a forward defensive shot, that front foot is going to go in the protected area. So the law doesn't want that. Yes, striker can make a guard on the pitch, middle or leg or two leg, whatever the case. But again, this mark not to be very close to the protected area. So what happens if the striker do go in there, stand close, goes in there? You need to give the striker first and final warning. And this is a team warning. It's not a striker's warning, it's a team warning. So that's why this warning to apply throughout the innings. And because it's a team warning, you need to inform the non-striker of this first and final warning. And each and every incoming batter needs to be informed that the team is on the first and final warning for striker going into the protected area. Inform the captain of the fielding side and when possible, captain of the batting side. So now, the team is on the first and final warning. Striker going into the protected area. So now what happens? In that same innings, let's say it's the first innings of the match, the striker again goes into the protected area. Now, what is the punishment? You've already given a first and final. Now the punishment is, from that delivery, you need to disallow all runs to the batting side. You need to return batters back to their original ends. If there was a no ball or wide, that to stand. 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. Award any 5 penalty runs, that's applicable, except if the ball should hit the helmet that was placed behind the keeper. Inform everyone and then report this to the governing body of cricket. So this is the punishment. We've covered what punishment the bowler gets, what punishment the striker gets for going into the protected area. So what about batters damaging the pitch? So the law sees it as unfair if batters cause deliberate or avoidable damage to the pitch. So yes, batters in playing their shot, they can double step to get to the pitch. No issue. The law allows for that. The law that don't dictate batters are saying you cannot double or triple steps, and if it takes you into a protected area, okay, no issue. But the law allows you to double step, to triple step. But as soon as that shot's done, you need to get out of the protected area. You need to play the shot and then immediately move, out, run to the side. So if the umpires feel that either of the batters cause avoidable damage to the pitch, let's have a look at the punishment. Firstly, if it happens the first time, this is unfair. The law sees it as unfair. You warn both batters, and first up, it's first and final warning. This is a team warning. So if you do give a first and final, you need to inform each incoming batter. And this is a team warning, and it's throughout the first innings. Let's say it happened in the first innings. As soon as the second inning starts, the team starts on a clean slate again. So first up, batters causing deliberate and avoidable damage to the pitch, you go first and final. You need to inform the fielding captain, and when possible, batting captain, that you've given the batters first and final warning. So what happened? We're still in the first innings, and then there's a further instance of avoidable damage by any of the batters. It's a team warning, so it doesn't mean the opener did it. The number 8 batter can do it again. It's a team warning. You've informed the number 8 batter when he or she came to the crease that the team is on a first and final. So what happens if it happens again? Need to disallow all runs. Return any of the not out batters back to their original ends. If there was a no ball or a wide, it to count. 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. And award any other 5 penalty runs, except if the ball should hit the helmet placed behind the keeper. And lastly, inform everyone and report this to the governing body of cricket for this particular competition. So this is all subsections under Law 41 that I'm covering. I'm now going to go through 2 course questions. Course question 41.5, I'm going to play you the video. And I want you to put in the chat box. 41.5, what is your decision? Is the striker out stumped? Or are you going to give 5 penalty runs to the batting side because there was willful deception by the keeper? Let's have a look at the video. I'll play it twice. And you need to decide. No issue with this. I'm giving the striker out stumped. Or you will intervene and give 5 penalty runs to the batting side for deliberate, willful deception by the keeper. Let's have a look at the video. I'll play it twice. Okay, I'll play it again. Have a close look at the keeper. The keeper took the ball down leg. Look at the keeper's actions. Look at where the keeper is looking, and then look what the keeper did. So in the chat box, 41.5, make your decision. There was another video. I think I skipped that video, but I'll get back to it. Before I hand back to Tom, I'm going to give you a few exam tips when answering your questions when you do write the exam. You don't need to quote the law verbatim. All the evaluator or the person that's marking your exam wants to see, does the examiner, know the law, understand the law? So you can put it in your own words. But write down as much as possible of the law that's pertaining to the question, and then apply that law to the scenario. So you first, in your answer, you tell what the law states, and then apply the law to the scenario. Also, in some of the questions, you will see that they'll say, they'll give you exact balls. Let's say over 33.3 and something happens. As soon as you see exact balls given, part of your answer, you need to write down how many balls remaining in the over. So if they, let's say they do put over 33.3, third ball was a front foot no ball, and the batter was a run out. I'm just thumb sucking an example. So now in your let's say in your answer, you'll give the answer, yes, batter out, run out, happy. But part of your answer should be, they've mentioned that this is over 33.3 and the third ball was a no ball. So you need to mention that there are 4 balls left in the over. And there you get these. I'm giving you tips where you get extra marks. So anytime you see in the question, if there are still balls remaining, you need to write down how many balls left in the over. Also, if they give you in your question number of overs, part of your answer should be work out how many overs remaining in the day. That's also another point. So if you see balls in the over, tell how many balls left. If you see overs in number of overs in your question, write down the overs left in the day. When we get to our penalty time questions, when we get to our last hour questions, break down your calculations. So step by step, show your evaluator how you got to your answer. These questions are all 5-6 marks. Even if you have the correct answer, you'll get 1 point. So to get 5 or 6 out of 6 or 7 out of 7, break down your calcs. So how you got to your answer. If there is a dead ball scenario, mention in your answer whether the ball counts for 1 in the over or not. If there was running in your question and a batter, let's say, is dismissed run out, extra marks, mention who faces the next delivery. Or if a batter is dismissed, say who faces the next delivery, whether batter's run out or batter's dismissed court. You'll need to say incoming batter will face the next delivery if a batter is out caught. Batter's out, run out. Let's say non-striker to face next delivery, or incoming batter to face next delivery, whatever the case may be. All extra marks for you. Also, to save time, you can just write, I will inform everyone and report this to the governing body if the law requires you to do so. Don't need to write out that full sentence. You can just write, I will inform everyone and I'll report this to the governing body. You'll get marks for it. When answering your exam, leave about 2 or 3 lines between the questions. Sometimes when you do go over it again, there's maybe you'll remember, oh, I see there's balls, exact balls in the question. I didn't put down initially how many balls left in the over. So now if you do leave 2 or 3 lines, you can then add in your question. There are 2 balls remaining in the over, or 4 balls remaining, whatever the case may be. There are also instances where a delivery is bowled and the ball becomes dead, but that ball doesn't count as one of the legal deliveries in the over. And part of your answer is you then need to put down ball doesn't count as one for the over. Ball needs to be re-bowled. All extra marks that you get. I'll give you a few examples. Under the dead ball law, when the striker is not ready for the delivery, and let's say if the ball is delivered, striker makes no attempt to it. Yes, even though the ball was delivered, but as long as there's a good reason and the striker didn't attempt to play at the ball not to count as one for the over. Ball needs to be re-bowled. Here's how you get those extra marks. Another instance, also under dead ball, when the striker is distracted by any noise or movement. Part of your answer, say, if the ball was delivered, ball will not count as one for the over. Needs to be re-bowled. Under unfair play, when there was a deliberate attempt to distract the striker before the ball was delivered, or there was deliberate distraction, deception, or obstruction of the batter. Again, in an instance, ball not to count as one for the over. Ball needs to be re-bowled. Put it down as part of your answer. Also under player returning without permission, part of the punishment is, yes, the ball becomes dead as soon as the player touches the ball, but don't forget to write down ball not to count as one for the over. Lots of candidates that lose these free marks where they don't put this as part of the answer. Also under fielding the ball, if fielder illegally fields the ball, yes, the ball becomes dead, but candidates often leave out ball not to count as one for the over and needs to be re-bowled. They throw away these marks. I'm just reminding you, don't throw away these points. And then lastly, also don't forget, and I'm going to give you 2 examples. Under deliberate short runs, part of the punishment is if there was a deliberate short run where you'll disallow all runs, return any not out batter back to the original ends. Lots of candidate leaves out bullet point number 3, where the law say if there was a no ball or a wide, that to count if it's applicable. Lots of candidates leave it out. You get a mark for this. Don't forget to leave it out. They'll put down all the other punishment. They'll put down the first 2 bullet points as well as the last 2. But many a times they forget to put bullet point 3 down. Don't forget it. There's marks that you're throwing away. And also under movement by the fielder. Also, part of the punishment is award 1 run penalty for a wide or a no ball. Lots of candidates leave it out. They'll put down award 5 penalty runs. They'll put down you'll inform the captain of the fielding side. But they always forget to put down if there was a wide or a no ball, that to count. Tom, that's all I'm covering this evening. I had one more question video, the video of Lungi Ngede bowling a ball above waist height. Do you have that video, Tom? Can you perhaps show it to the candidates, and they can put it then in the chat box, the decision? I seem to have lost that video.
Yes, Dula, no problem. I've got it. I'm on it. It's part of my list of videos to answer. So I will start with this quiz question 41.7. Let me share my screen and then I will come back to it at the end because it is the last quiz question of the evening. So here is quiz question 41.7. Is this out bowled or is this a no ball? Please put your answer into the chat box. Quiz question 41.7, out bowled, or quiz question 41.7, no ball. Right, so let me start with the very first quiz question for today's lecture. It comes from the Vitality Blast a few years ago.
Better. Maybe he's the man for the finals. Up in the air, he's not got all of it. Mid-off tries to get round, it plugs a little bit, and whoa! If that hits his cap, is that 5? Kieswetter looking at the square leg umpire. Michael Atherton says he slept with the rule book once. That flicks his cap, is that 5?
I don't know whether it did. One man would know, I suppose.
It's not deliberate. Fine. It's over. Yeah. Not deliberate. Yeah.
Not deliberate. That's what Rob Bailey has just said. So there's the answer. It's not deliberate. It's not 5. Did it hit the cap? Oh, it did. It did.
Not deliberate, the answer.
So you'll remember what I mentioned in the slides, that for illegal fielding to take place, a piece of clothing, equipment has to be discarded by a fielder and the ball make contact with it. If the ball makes contact with a piece of clothing or equipment that has accidentally fallen from the person of a fielder, then it will be nothing wrong, play on. In this scenario, we can see that the fielder has run towards the ball and the cap has fallen off his head accidentally. Ball makes contact with the cap. Nothing wrong, play on. Why? Because the cap flew off the head of the fielder accidentally. Okay, so correct answer for quiz question 28.1, play on. Next quiz question is to do with the ball hitting the helmet. And I'm going to play it without volume. The striker, Kane Williamson, shapes to pad up. The delivery misses the pad. It is past the wicketkeeper and hits the helmet that is placed behind the wicketkeeper in line with the stumps on the ground. There it hits the helmet. Because that helmet is placed deliberately by the fielding side, firstly, the ball automatically becomes dead when it hits the helmet, and 5 penalty runs are awarded to the batting side. Because the ball automatically becomes dead when it hits the helmet, nothing else after that matters. everything is irrelevant. Yes, they ran and crossed before the ball went over the boundary rope, but because the ball automatically became dead when it hit the helmet, only the 5 penalty runs will be awarded to New Zealand. Okay, so answer to quiz question 28.2, 5 penalty runs awarded to New Zealand. Now, I just want to take you through an alternative scenario. If the ball had flicked Kane Williamson's pad on the way through and had gone on to hit the helmet, would there have been any penalty runs awarded to the batting side? The answer is no. Because Kane Williamson is not attempting a shot and because he is not taking evasive action, leg byes cannot be awarded if the ball hits his pad, and also the 5 penalty runs will not be awarded to the batting side. But that is only if the ball had flicked his pad. Then we would not award 5 penalty runs for the ball hitting the helmet. Yes, the ball would still automatically become dead. And of course, there wouldn't be 4 leg byes because of the ball going to the boundary. Because Kane Williamson did not attempt a shot, he padded up to the ball. If the ball had flicked the pad and gone on to hit the helmet, yes, the ball would have become automatically dead, but we would not have awarded 5 penalty runs. But because in this scenario, the ball missed the pad, went on to hit the helmet, 5 penalty runs awarded to New Zealand. Next quiz question, 33.1. Is this out court or is this not out court? And I'm going to put the audio on for this one because Omimbangwa explains it perfectly for us.
Good catch on the boundary. Big moment in the game to Pavlon. Tell you what, Tom, that ball is on the ground on his way up.
Have you managed to ensure that in the completion of the catch, you keep the ball off the ground and you have it fully under control? Yeah, and that's about whether your hands are turned or turned downwards. And I'll take you back, all of you who'd be watching a whole lot of cricket, and remember Mitchell Stark. The Ashes.
I will read from the law book, law 33.3. The act of making a catch shall start from the time when the ball first comes into contact with a fielder's person and shall end when a fielder obtains complete control over both the ball and his or her movement. It's clear to see that the fielder in this scenario is still sliding along the ground when he turns his hand downwards and the ball makes contact with the ground. He is not in complete control of his movement when the ball touches the ground. Therefore, the catch has not been completed. And the correct answer for quiz question 33.1 is not out. Quiz question 35.1. Is this out hit wicket or is this not out hit wicket? I'm going to play the video without the commentary and I'll talk you through it. So Brandon Taylor, the then captain of Zimbabwe, plays or attempts to play an uppercut over the slips and he misses. And what we need to ask ourselves is, has he completed his shot and his follow through when he then puts the wicket down? The issue is not whether he's put his wicket down. It's quite clear. We'll see it in the slow motion replay that he does put his wicket down with his bat, removing a bail from the top of the stumps. But the question is, and law tells us that a striker will be out hit wicket if he puts his wicket down in preparing to receive or in receiving the shot. In my opinion, a ramp shot that Brandon Taylor is playing ends about there. You could argue that maybe there's a follow through downwards that could end there. The follow through downwards, you could argue, ends around here. And for me, the shot and the follow through is complete at this point in time. So when he puts his wicket down, it is not still part of the shot or the follow through. So Brandon Taylor in this scenario should be not out hit wicket. Correct answer to quiz question 35.1, not out. Quiz question 37.1. Is this out obstructing the field or is this not out? Matthew Wade plays a pull shot, top edge, doesn't know where the ball is, tries to get back in his crease, and as soon as he realizes that a catch is probably going to be taken by the bowler Mark Wood in his follow through, Matthew Wade puts out an arm to stop the bowler from getting to catching the ball. So that is a willful act that obstructs the bowler, and upon appeal, Matthew Wade should be given out obstructing the field. Okay, incidentally, in this scenario, England decided not to appeal out of the spirit of the game. But if they were to have appealed, then Matthew Wade surely would have been given out obstructing the field. He knew exactly what he was doing. It was a willful act that stopped Mark Wood from taking the catch or having a chance to take the catch. So this would have been out obstructing the field if appealed for. Question 39.1, is this out stumped or is this not out stumped? I'll talk you through it. Bowler bowls the ball, a wicket keeper makes a little bit of a hash of it. He does not collect cleanly, and we will see in the slow motion replays that the ball ricochets off his helmet. He then collects it and eventually puts the wicket down fairly. First thing we need to judge, is he wholly behind the line of the stumps when the ball passes the stumps? Yes, so no problems there. Then we see that the ball has ricocheted up onto the grill of his helmet. Is that allowed? Yes. We mentioned that to encourage fielders and wicket keepers to wear helmets. The ball does not become dead if it hits a helmet that is worn by a fielder or a wicket keeper. And the third umpire asks for the frame to be frozen when the wicket is fairly put down, and we can see that the striker is short of his ground. Correct decision for quiz question 39.1 is out. First question 41.5. Is the striker out stumped, or was there deliberate deception by the wicketkeeper? Let's have a look at the scenario. Bowler bowls the ball down leg side. The wicketkeeper collects the ball, but he turns around to purposefully deceive the batter into thinking that the ball has gone past the wicketkeeper. As soon as he hears the batter leave his ground, he whips off the bails and appeals for a stumping or a run out, and is given out. In terms of the reactions you can see from the fielding side. Is this legal? No, law tells us that if there is a deliberate deception, obstruction by any member of the fielding side, then call and signal dead ball. There shall be no batter dismissed off that delivery. It shall not count as a legal delivery in the over and needs to be rebowled. The batters at the crease decide who faces the next delivery. Why? Because even though they haven't crossed, because a run was attempted by the striker, they will get awarded that run. As Abdullah mentioned, that's the only place in the law where the batters are awarded a run for not having crossed. So, as clever as this wicketkeeper was, this is unfair play. Deliberate deception leads to punishment, and of course, the striker would be not out. Last quiz question, 41.7. Is this out bowled or is this a no ball? As is quite clear in that freeze frame, the ball is above waist height at the popping crease with the striker standing upright at the crease. And so this was correctly called by the TV umpire as a no ball. In televised matches, we are instructed not to call tight full tosses at waist height. If there is a chance of a dismissal, for example, if the ball is hit up in the air, we wait for the catch to be taken, and then we will send up a referral to ask the TV umpire to check whether the ball was above waist height or not. So that is why on field, Adrian Holtstock in picture did not call and signal no ball. There was a dismissal. It was referred to the TV umpire, and the TV umpire correctly adjudicated a no ball. Of course, this being a limited overs match, the next delivery was a free hit. So correct answer to quiz question 41.7, no ball. Thank you, and well done to all of you who have correctly answered all the quiz questions. These are the type of scenarios that you will come across in the Cricket South Africa Level 3 exam, and you will need to answer accordingly. There won't be any videos for you from which to judge, but the level of questioning is similar to what you will get in the actual exams. And you need to, as Abdullah mentioned, give your understanding of the law that pertains to that scenario, then give your answer to the scenario, and please do not forget the extra marks that you will get from saying, for example, the 1-run penalty for a no ball or a wide will apply. Also mention how many balls are left in the over. If you are told how many overs there are minimum in the day and an innings ends, then you must tell us how many overs are remaining in the day. So those are the pointers that will ensure, apart from you getting your not out or out decisions correct, those extra pieces of information will help you get the marks that will get you to 80%, which is the pass mark. On Thursday, we shall be going through revision questions, and what I'm going to do tomorrow morning when I send the link for the recording of today's lecture, I will also include revision questions for you to work through on your own. You are welcome to send us your answers on email, but it is to prepare you for Thursday night, where we will be asking you the revision questions, and we want you to give us answers as you would answer in the exam. So if it's a 6-mark question, we expect at least 6 lines worth of information or calculations, and 1-word answers will not get you the required marks to pass Cricket South Africa's level 3 exam. So yes, we will be going through all of that on Thursday, and you will get the questions emailed to you tomorrow, 11 a.m. South African time, with the link to the recording of this lecture. I am now going through the chat box to see if there were any questions posed while we were presenting. Obviously, you have all answered a lot of the quiz questions, so I'm just sifting through those. Thank you very much for your interaction, and I see that a lot of you have answered the questions correctly, so well done. There's a question from Kunjaravia regarding no ball. The batter swings for the ball after 1 bounce. Apologies, this question is from last week, Thursday. I'm now scrolling down through today's answers in the chat box, and I don't see any questions posed yet. It does not seem that there are any questions in the chat box, so we will go into the hands up in the meeting room. First hand up, our regular from Bangladesh, Rifat, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Hello, good evening, Tom.
Hi, Rifat, go ahead.
Okay, I have to clarify that I didn't understand. Deliberate no ball. If the bowler deliberately no ball, bowled a no ball, the law tells that the umpire can immediately suspend the bowler. In 2009, you can remember the Mohammad Amir bowled a big no ball in international cricket. After that he was punished. I didn't remember that time. Is he continued to bowl or not? If in the case, if the umpire is sole judges to suspend the bowler because Mohammad Amir bowled a big no ball.
That's correct, Rifat. And I will bring Abdullah in just to remind us of the procedure to follow when there is a deliberate front foot no ball bowled by a bowler. Going back to Mohammad Amir in 2009, Rifat, the laws were very different back in 2009. I don't think the deliberate front foot no ball law was in place at the time. I do remember that he did continue to bowl in that innings and in that match. So that is why he was not removed from the attack. That law did not exist at the time. Quite often you find a lot of these laws, Rifat, they are added to the law books when somebody does something wrong. And up until 2017, I think, when it was added, maybe it didn't happen often enough to have the lawmakers put it into the law book. Abdullah, please take us through the process for a bowlers and umpire to follow when there is a deliberate front foot no ball bowled by a bowler.
Yes, Tom, and just to comment on this Mohammed Amir front foot no ball, I think this is the same one. The umpires didn't deem it to be deliberate, but what was found out afterwards was, I think Mohammed was suspended for this. There was bookmakers involved. And I think this was this particular delivery where he went way over. And the ICC did an investigation, and I think I can't remember how long he was suspended, but he was suspended.
Yes, he was
for bowling
suspended.
this particular ball.
Correct. I think he was suspended for a few years, actually.
Yeah, I can't remember how long he was suspended, but yeah. To come back to the punishment as per the law, if the umpires considers that the ball was the front foot no ball was deliberate, you need to call and signal no ball. You then need to ask the fielding captain to suspend the bowler immediately. The bowler will not be allowed to bowl again for the rest of that particular innings. Let's say it's the first innings of our test match. For that first innings, that bowler will not be allowed to bowl. Yes, he can bowl, or she can bowl again in the second innings. And then you need to inform everyone and then report this to the governing body. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Dula. Question in the chat box from Ansh. Our last session is a revision lecture, right? Yes, Ansh, on Thursday, the 20th of November, our lecture will start same time, same place, same Microsoft meeting link. It will be revision questions that I'll send to you tomorrow on email, and everyone is welcome to send us their answers on email, and we will ask all of you to give us your answers live on the revision lecture. We will also be having a click-by-click demonstration of how our Cricket South Africa Level 3 online exam works. For those of you who haven't used exam online with us for Level 2 online exam, you will see exactly how it works. For those of you who did write the Cricket South Africa Level 2 exam a couple of months ago online with us, it works exactly the same. Next hand up is Sizo Mube. Sizo, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Tom. Dula, I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear. Go ahead, Sizo.
Thank you. I've got two questions. One of them is more of like something that we sometimes see, especially in the lower leagues that we umpire. So you'll have a batsman coming in with a helmet, and then faces the pace bowler, then comes on the spinner. He decides that maybe taking it out is going to take a bit of time. Negotiates with the keeper or the fielding captain that maybe they put it behind. So the law just speaks about the helmet of fielding side. Can we take this to say the batting side should never have any helmet being put behind the stumps or anywhere else on the field? Or maybe if the umpire doesn't want to carry, then that helmet should go out. Then my second question pertains to an incident that happened some years ago on one of the games where I was umpiring. The batsman swings for the ball, misses it, the keeper catches the ball, and then he holds it for like what, for ages, for what seemed like ages. And then when the batsman tries to stand up, he's out of the crease, and then he says he stumped him out. So would that really constitute a stumping, or is it going to be dead ball?
Two good questions there, Cizo. First question, I'll hand it over to Abdullah. Abdullah, are we allowed to hold the batters' helmets for them as umpires if they decide that they're going to bat with a cap against the spinners? Or should that helmet be placed behind the wicket keeper? And if the ball hits it, is that 5 penalty runs? Or should that helmet be sent off the field completely?
So, Cizo, firstly, let's cover what the law say about placement of helmets. The law is quite clear. The law allows only for the fielding side to place their helmets that's not in use in line with the stumps behind the keeper. So law clear, only fielding sides. So now when it comes to batters, definitely not. The law does not cater for a batter putting their helmet behind the helmet behind the keeper. So that should firstly not be allowed. Secondly, umpires never ever to carry any equipment of the batter. So if the batter, and if let's say 2 spinners are bowling and the batter feels like he or she wants to bat with a cap, that helmet then needs to be taken off the field. And when a fast bowler returns later on, the helmet then needs to be brought on by one of the substitutes. Also importantly, we need to make sure that if we are going to allow a batter to let's say bat with a helmet with the spinner and the fast bowler, we just need to make sure that we don't waste any time. Because if the batter wants to bat without the helmet for the spinner, no issue, as long as the substitute comes onto the field quickly, and that handing the helmet to the batter wastes no time. If it wastes time in any way, we should not allow it. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. Cizo, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your second question. Abdullah, do you remember it, or would you like Cizo to re?
Yeah. It's the one about the stumping.
It's about the stumping, the dead ball.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll answer, Tom. So
yeah.
Cizo, let's first cover. There is a law that covers this, and the law states it is up to the bowlers and umpire to decide whether he or she feels that the fielding side has ceased to regard the ball as still in play, as well as the batters at the wicket. So this can be subjective, Cizo, because it's a judgment call that the bowlers and umpire needs to make, and it can differ from umpire to umpire. So you need to look at the situation as the bowlers and umpire, and you need to ask yourself the question, taking into account what you're seeing. Are we seeing that the fielding side is now regarded as the ball maybe not in play anymore? Ball is now dead. Similarly with batters. There's no exact timing. It has to be after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. The law doesn't speak about an exact amount of time. All the law says, you bowlers in, you make that judgment call. Do you think ball is still in play? And criteria that you need to use is look at the fielding side, look at the batters, and if your opinion of looking at both of them, you can see that both sides has now ceased to regard the ball as still in play, that ball is then dead. Or if you look at the situation and think, I can still see the fielding side think this ball is still in play, or the keeper, this ball is still in play, or the batters think the ball is still in play, then the ball is still alive, then you can answer the appeal if you think the ball is still in play. So in your scenario, that's the judgment call that the umpire needed to make. And if you were the umpire, you needed to have made that call. Do I think the ball is dead? If yes, you then and even if the stumping happened afterwards, you would have say not out to the stumping. My judgment call is ball is dead, stumping not out. If you feel ball is still in play and you give then the striker out a stump, and your reason is I think the ball was still in play.
Okay, I think up to that. That's clear.
Okay, you're welcome. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Dula. Thanks, Cizo. Next hand up is Rifat. Once again, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Okay, Tom. I sent a video last week. I don't know you've seen or not. In last week, Bangladesh versus Ireland in first test match, in first day and first over, a Bangladeshi bowler bowled a ball and umpire given the Irish batter out, LBW. The Irish batter took the review, and in the review, a third umpire saw the clear gap between bat and ball, but in ultra ace there is a big spike on the in the bat and ball, but in clear eye there is big gap. Umpire give the batsman out in decision of clear eyeing. What kind of decision is made from this situation? Because it's clear that the ultra is totally wrong.
Okay, good question, Rifat. I'm going to play this scenario, and our DRS specialist, Abdullah, can take us through it. Abdullah, I'm not sure if you've seen this one before. So you might have to be a TV umpire to judge this LBW review.
Yeah, between bat and the ball. Although the spike is there on ultra edge, but there's no way the ball could have hit the bat there because there is such a big gap between the bat and the ball. Okay, we'll go through to ball tracking when ready, please.
Okay, so Tom, if you could just freeze it when we see the spike and we see the gap between bat and ball. Are you able to freeze it, Tom?
Yes, hold on for me, Dula.
Yeah. So Rifat, part of the just freeze it there. Part of the DRS process, Rifat, is when looking at ultra hits, we will look at the front on view, which is on the left. We'll get a side on view, which is on the right, and then we'll get ultra hits. And when analyzing the picks, Rifat, we need to be able to marry the three picks to make a decision whether the ball has made contact with the bat or not. If you're not able to marry the picks, then even if you see a spike, then the spikes could be something else. So what happened in this was when Richard Illingworth looked at this, so he looked on the left, and he saw this big gap between bat and ball. You can see visually there is a big gap. He then looked on the right. He saw the ball in this pick just past the bat. Then if you look in the middle, you see ultra hits. So now he was not able to marry these picks because to be 100% sure that there was an edge, you need to be able to marry it, meaning on the left, there shouldn't be a gap between bat and ball. On the right, the ball should be in the vicinity of the bat. And then if you look in the middle, you should see a spike. But because the pick on the left showed this big gap, and Richard went on those visuals, and based on that, he made the decision that because of the gap between bat and ball, he was satisfied that there was no bat involved. Yes, we saw the spike, but the spikes gets picked up by the stump mics that's placed behind the stumps. So we know that batters dragging their feet also causes spikes. So you can see, look at this back foot, that could have also made the spike. So what he went on was, because of the gap, he was satisfied that the spike was not the bat. It could have been the feet, the back foot dragging, could have been something else, but because of the gap, it was not the bat, according to Richard. That's why he was satisfied there was no bat involved, because of the big gap, and then went to ball tracking. And I'm not sure what ball tracking showed, but that is just the decision process that we, the TV umpire, needs to make when looking at this. You cannot just look, you see a spike and then you say there's a spike, it definitely made contact with the bat. No, when looking at these picks, you first need to look left to see where the ball is. Then you look right and see where the ball is, and then you look in the middle to see if there's a spike. And then you marry the three picks and then come to a decision. Over, Tom.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdullah, for that in-depth analysis on the workings of Ultra Edge. I do not see any more questions in the chat box. I have taken the email addresses that have been posted to add them to the mailing list, who will be sent the link to the recording of this lecture tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. South African time, as well as the revision questions that we'll be going through on Thursday together. So thank you all very much for your attendance and interaction. We will reconvene on Thursday, same time, same place, same Microsoft Teams meeting link. Have a great week. Until then, thank you and goodbye.